Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Rajwant Kaur from DAV College Jalandhar. Today we are going to talk on module Resistance to Change and Informal Organization from paper Organizational Change and Development. After completing this module, you will be able to understand the concept of resistance to change. You can describe reasons of resistance to change. You can also discuss informal organization, and you will be in a position to suggest strategies to minimize resistance to change. So let us have some introduction about the need for this studying the topic. In modern times, organizations are greatly affected by rapidly increasing the pace of change and will be even more affected in the future. The change is inevitable and requires organizational strategies to cope up with it. Organizations are required to initiate changes at small and large level for their survival. Whenever a change is introduced or proposed in an organization, employees respond to it in different ways. Some consider it as an opportunity and favor it, while others perceive it as a threat and oppose it. The concept of force field analysis, that is an organization's tendency to seek an equilibrium point or balance through two opposite set of forces, is useful in understanding change efforts. These two set of forces are labeled as driving forces and restraining forces. Driving forces are factors that motivate change, and restraining forces restrict change. The organizational equilibrium can be achieved through increasing the strength of driving forces or reducing the strength of restraining forces. However, it is not always within the reach of an organization to increase the strength of driving forces. Therefore, an effective approach is to deal with change efforts is to reduce the degree of resistance to change by effectively reducing the strength of restraining forces. Let us now discuss the meaning of resistance to change. Resistance to change is a behavioral or emotional response to imagined or real threats to an established work routine and depicts non-cooperation. Resistance implies unsportive attitude or behavior of those people who view change efforts as threat to their status, autonomy, job performance, culture, or social relationships. Once a change is proposed or introduced in an organization, it is certain to face some type of resistance, as happened in case of automation or computerization. It is in the best interest of organization if top management or change agents timely assess the resistance and cope with it successfully. For effectively dealing with resistance to change, it is important to know the reasons for such resistance. Let us now discuss reasons for resistance to change. In an organization, people resist change due to various reasons. So, I am going to explain one by one. Number one, fear of reduction in employment. People resist change as they think that new technology or work methods will reduce the demand for people, and as a result their jobs will be in danger. For example, change requiring automation causes loss of job of some employees. Next reason is fear of increase in workload. Many times people think that if changes are introduced or any change is introduced, it would mean increase in their existing workload without corresponding increase in their salary or wages. Therefore, they oppose change. Another reason is more training requirements. New methods of doing work may require some specific skills. Existing staff oppose such change as they will have to go under some training. Sometimes new methods require continuous updating of the skills. The requirement of frequent training is not liked by many members of the organization. Monotony and boredom is another reason. Some jobs lose the scope of creativity and innovation due to the introduction of some alternative ways of doing work. Usually, division of work brings specialization. Doing the same thing again and again leads to perfection, but also cause monotony and boredom. Those who like variety and creativity in job resist changes in work methods that lead to monotony. Next reason is fear of demotion. New work methods or systems may be challenging and requiring typical skills. People fear that their performance will not be up to mark immediately after introducing change. Even after training, their performance will differ for some time, and more deviation from standard performance may cause demotion. Next reason is less clarity on implications of change. When employees do not understand the implications of change in true sense, they resist it. Lack of understanding or reliable information leaves a vacuum that is filled by speculations and rumors, and thus creates confusion and doubts. Another reason is impact on existing social networks. Technological changes that do not disturb existing social networks are easily accepted by people. Informal teams or social networks at workplace may be threatened by change. Organizational change may require new social adjustment with work situation, group, or new manager. Usually, people do not accept such change. Research evidence shows that the stronger the social networks or group ties, the more the resistance to change. In some cases, the refusal of people to transfers and promotions was associated with the reason that they did not want to break their existing social ties. Another reason is no involvement in change program. When people who are directly going to be affected by change are not involved in decision making process for change and change program, they resist it. They do not want that any change is just imposed upon them. Next reason is fear of unknown uncertainty. Major resistance to change stems from the fear of unknown uncertainty which the change may bring. People become anxious when they are asked to replace the old and familiar with something new and uncertain, so they resist. For example, in various organizations, when total quality management concept was introduced, employees resisted it as they were having fear that they might not be able to learn statistical quality control techniques. One reason is threat to position or power. Manager, leader or group tends to resist those changes that cause them to lose face. People want to retain the status quo. Changes that lower the status or prestige and lessen the authority of individual or group are not appreciated. For example, if an organization promotes self-managed teams, it will reduce a leader's sphere of authority. So such changes are likely to encounter resistance. Next reason is disruption of routine. Human behavior is governed by habit and routine. People resist change when their habitual routines are disturbed. If people succeed in a particular situation, they continue to operate in similar way. Many people feel comfortable doing things in the same way as always. The familiar is preferred, especially when the established ways of doing things or behavior have been successful. When confronted with change, people's way of responding in accustomed ways becomes a reason of their resistance. Next reason is selective perception. It is an established fact that people listen to what they want to listen or see what they want to see. They try to ignore information that challenges the world they have created. They do not listen to anything positive about change if they do not like it. Similarly, people resist change when they think that only organization will be benefited through change and there will be no personal benefit to individuals. Next reason is existing conflicts among individuals. Some individuals or groups may be having conflicts with one another created as a result of misunderstandings, past resentment or lack of trust. If due to structural changes, such people are required to have daily personal contact, they are more likely to oppose such change. Pressure of group is another reason for resistance. Sometimes people want to accept change but they resist it under the influence of their group or union. Next reason is change in culture. People feel comfortable in a particular organizational culture. If change requires change in culture or set norms, they strongly oppose it. Next reason is limited focus of change. When organization proposes to make change in one aspect only, say technology, without initiating any corresponding change in structure or employees' skill to match, such unidirectional change is not likely to be accepted by people. Another reason is threat to existing resource allocation. Departmental heads resist change if it results in a reduction in budget allocation or cut in staff in their departments. The next topic is resistance good or bad? Resistance to change is good due to the following reasons. Resistance provides management or change agents an opportunity to carefully analyze the pros and cons of proposed change. It prevents eventual collapse. Initial resistance may lead to better decisions due to negotiations and deliberations. Resistance to change provides a certain degree of stability, but resistance, when not managed properly, hinders new learning, adaptation and progress. Next comes manifestations of resistance to change. different people resist change due to different reasons. Their individual or group behavior after a proposal for change or introduction of change in the organization can take many forms, like doing only what is needed, protests, doing as little as possible, non-learning, slowing down work, spoilage, deliberate sabotage, personal withdrawal, that is increased time off the job and away from job, committing errors deliberately. Next topic I am going to discuss is overcoming resistance to change. Employees' positive attitude, beliefs and sportive behavior are important to reap the benefits of change program in true sense. Therefore, sincere efforts should be made by top management or change leaders to minimize employees' resistance. There are various strategies or techniques, also called methods or approaches, that can help in reducing resistance to change and increasing the likelihood of acceptance. Some strategies may be directed at individuals or groups, while others may be directed at the whole organization. So, various strategies for overcoming resistance to change are: number one is extensive communication. Lack of adequate information leads to rumors and uncertainty. Therefore, effective communication is needed. A good communication program helps in minimizing uncertainty and fear of unknown related to change. All members of the organization, especially those who are going to be affected by change, need information about reasons or need for change, its planned timings and its likely impact on organization and employees. This information should be provided to them. Awareness of the need for a change reduces employees' resistance. Employees are more likely to support changes when information is provided to them about declining sales and profits, sharply increasing cost and customer complaints, high rate of absenteeism, decreasing quality and other statistics that compare unfavorably with prevailing competition. In various organizations, change leaders have found ways to communicate this information and create a sense of urgency. They are using techniques like open book management. This technique involves increasing the access of employees to organizations' financial records so that they can analyze and understand the problems and realize the need of change. Other technique that is commonly used is showing employees television programs on the ability of other organizations to compete internationally. Some organizations are even allowing union to bring in an auditor to examine organizations' account books. Such techniques increase employees' trust and thus opposition to change disappears. Therefore, effective communication is important. Once reasons for change and its associated benefits for individuals and organization are made clear, the employees can easily understand and accept change. Next strategy is participation of members. Resistance to change can be reduced to a considerable extent by allowing the participation of individuals who will be affected by change in the decision making process and developing change program. The involvement of employees in matters concerning them increases the probability of acceptance of such programs. Participation leads to better understanding, motivation and acceptance. For example, if employees participate in an activity of collecting performance data, they will be better convinced of the need of change. Employees' union should be supportive of change and hence needs to be involved. Thus, participation of potential resistors into planning and implementation of change program can minimize or eliminate their resistance to change. Another strategy is providing support. Change leaders can deal with resistance by providing support for those involved in change program. They can be offered monetary rewards, public recognition or promotions if circumstances permit. Similarly, arrangements can be made for providing additional training in new skills. Managers can also proceed to implement change in phases to minimize upheaval. Another strategy is creating a vision. It is important to create a vision and define mission and values to motivate people to accept change. Vision presents picture of the desired future and shows how members of the organization will fit into that future. Well-defined visions reduce uncertainty and serve as goals to energize behavior. Mission and values provide tangible goals towards which employees can channel their energies. Next strategy is negotiation and agreement. Resistance to change can be minimized by negotiating with potential resistors and entering into certain agreements like transferring employees to other units or departments instead of laying them off, increasing employee pension benefits in exchange for early retirement, offering head of department of one branch the same position and remuneration in other branch and so on. Next strategy is reward systems. Offering different kinds of reward system like skill based pay, gain sharing, profit sharing and employee stock option plans can help in increasing acceptance of change. In skill based pay, pay is determined on the basis of skill of employee. Gain sharing recognizes the importance of group performance and it becomes basis for monetary reward which is shared by all members of the group. Profit sharing uses the performance of the organization to determine a reasonable share of profit which would be divided among all the members of the organization. Employee stock option plan involves offering ownership to employees through issuing shares to them at reduced price. Next comes the strategy climate of openness. A climate of openness, that is a climate where everyone feels free to express fears, feelings or put queries should be promoted. There should be an attitude of respect, understanding and listening to others patiently. All the queries need to be answered properly for clearing all the doubts of people involved in change program. This will minimize resistance. Another strategy is coercion. This strategy involves threat and may be used in exceptional cases when all other strategies prove unsuccessful. Explicit coercion or threat like loss of jobs, dismissal, transfer or loss of promotion, and implicit coercion like issuing statements with the purpose of creating fear of business going bankrupt, compel people to accept change. Next strategy is political support. It means taking influential persons, that is supervisors, executives and union leaders into confidence, as they may be better able to convince other members. Then other strategies are keeping employees informed about progress of change programs and using a respected and influential change agents are effective strategies to minimize resistance. Let us now discuss informal organization. Informal organization or informal group means natural grouping of people within the organization on the basis of some similarity. It is a complex system of social relationships and is created due to the socio-psychological forces that exist at the workplace. Whenever people work together, they develop a certain liking for others and start interacting with them in a way which is not prescribed by formal organization. According to literature, informal organization refers to people in group association at work, but these associations are not specified in the blueprint of the formal organization. Next comes features of informal organization. Informal authority, informal leadership, informal communication and informal relationships are the peculiar features of informal organization. The other features of informal organization are: informal organization is natural and spontaneous outcome at workplace. Membership in informal organization is voluntary. Informal organization is created due to some similarity among its members, which may relate to likings, disliking, sex, religion, age, caste, etc. Informal organization provides social and psychological satisfaction to group members. Behavior of group members is controlled by group norms set by informal group or organization. Informal organization is unstable in nature. At one time, one can be a member of several informal organizations existing at workplace. Now let us discuss topic resistance to change and informal organization. Informal organization protects the interests of its members. It also provides the platform for getting support for some formal decisions which may otherwise be difficult in formal organization. Whenever management undertakes any change program, it should not overlook the importance and resistance of informal organization. Informal group follows certain common values and norms for the better functioning of group. Any proposed change by management requiring change in these commonly shared values and norms is strongly resisted by informal group members. Group resistance cannot be avoided by management. It needs to be handled properly. Otherwise, management may have to face problems in initiating change in the organization. Similarly, when it seems difficult to introduce any change, management or change leaders can use informal organizations to convince people, as these are very effective. The management can minimize resistance of informal group through negotiation, discussion and by offering certain incentives to informal leader of the group. Let us now summarize what we have learnt in this module. Resistance to change is a behavioral or emotional response to imagined or real threats to an established work routine. and depicts non-cooperation. Resistance implies unsportive attitude or behavior of those people who view change efforts as threat. In an organization, people resist change due to various reasons like fear of reduction in employment, fear of increase in workload, more training requirements, monotony and boredom, fear of demotion, less clarity on implications of change, impact on existing social networks, no involvement in change program, fear of unknown uncertainty, threat to position or power, disruption of routine, pressure of group, change in culture, a limited focus of change, threat to existing resource allocation, and so on. Resistance to change is good to some extent as it provides management or change agents an opportunity to carefully analyze the pros and cons of proposed change and prevents eventual collapse. Initial resistance may lead to better decision due to negotiations and deliberations, and resistance to change provides a certain degree of stability, but resistance, when not managed properly, hinders new learning, adaptation, and progress. Different people resist change due to different reasons. Their individual or group behavior after a proposal for change or introduction of change in the organization can take many forms like doing only what is needed, protests, doing as little as possible, non-learning, slowing down work, spoilage, deliberate sabotage, personal withdrawal, committing errors deliberately, etc. There are various strategies or techniques that can help in reducing resistance to change and increasing the likelihood of acceptance. These strategies include extensive communication, participation of members, providing support, creating a vision, negotiation and agreement, installing new reward systems, climate of openness, coercion, political support, and leadership. Informal organization or informal group means natural grouping of people within the organization on the basis of some similarity such as likings, disliking, sex, religion, age, caste, etc. Informal authority, informal leadership, informal communication, and informal relationships are the peculiar features of informal organization. Informal organization protects the interests of its members. Whenever management undertakes any change program, it should not overlook the resistance of informal organization. The management can minimize resistance of informal group through negotiation, discussion, and by offering certain incentives to informal leader of the group. Thank you.